So I'm here with Alexandra Beller of Alexandra Beller Dances, artistic director, choreographer, teacher, performer, mom, wife, person. You're still a person.
I think somewhere underneath all
of that. How does a choreographer get to that place where they can let go of the ego and let go of the control, the power, and trust that something beautiful will still happen even if they're not controlling every single thing that happens?
Definitely there's part of it in that I am choosing collaborators that I am awed by. Mm-hmm. So I am dealing with people who are smarter than me and better than me, and there's a certain brilliance to that, but after that I kind of leave it up to them. Right. There's that. There's also the kind of having controlled to the point of failure many past projects, mm-hmm. and looking back at them or looking at them in the moment and saying, I controlled every aspect of this and it's not as good as I want it to be. And I think that's because I over-controlled it. Mm-hmm. It's like when you overwork your meal that you're cooking, you overwork your dough or mm-hmm. and it's overdone. And sometimes you just need to let things be what they want to be. And, I have trouble with that in marriage and in motherhood and in art making, but it's, it's a goal to try to get better at it.
And I think it's good to take a little bit of pressure off yourself and say, okay, it doesn't all have to be me. And I think a lot of us artists, dancers, choreographers, we suffer because we fail to invite and accept the help that is accessible to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's a bad thing.
And, I think also just that spirit of non-competition, that mm-hmm. spirit of, invitation as opposed to competition. And, I certainly don't feel like I need to be the best movement maker in the room. I feel like, if we're all making movement for a singular purpose, then great. Whoever mm-hmm. comes up with the best thing,
let's take that.
Let's use that. Mm-hmm. That's great. I don't need to have ego about that. We visit them one by one and we teach them these little bits of material that we set from their improvisation. And they build, over that 45 minutes, they build a phrase which they share in part with each one of us. So each one of us knows one little chunk of that phrase. Mm-hmm. And then they come out at the end and they perform it 3 times and we have this structure that we have built around them. So we are performing a structure around them and we perform the material we taught them in unison with them, and then dancers are also trying to learn the material on stage in the moment in front of the audience.
Like for real? Seriously?
For real. Completely seriously. So it's, by the nature of it, it's an extremely high stakes event. Mm-hmm. And it's extremely exciting for us. And apparently it's quite exciting for the guest artists because at the end of it they all give me the exact same look. No matter how many years they have been in the professional world, they give me this look.
I wish you guys could see that look.
Which I interpret as something that I can't say on the radio.
I interpret that as, Alexandra, that was a really, really fun experience. That's how not really. Not so much, actually.
It's a little more animalistic.
Yeah,
so,
a little more raw.
So it's been also, as a maker of dances, it's been a really amazing process for me to kind of cede control and yield my control mm-hmm. to another artist in this way. And they say if the beginning and the end of your dance are great, it doesn't matter what happens in the middle.
Right.
I am not in control of the beginning or the end of my dance.
Wow.
I mean, I have made an invitation to what it might be, but I am not in control of it. And what I've discovered with that is that I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I'm not the best movement maker in the room. Mm-hmm. Whoever is there, the smartest person says the smartest thing in the moment, mm-hmm. and the best movement maker makes the best movement in the moment, and it doesn't need to be me.
Right.
And the lucky part of it is that when it goes well, I get the credit for the smartest
nothing wrong
thing
with that.
And the best movement, and I didn't even have to make it.
Right? Wow. So you maybe you are the smartest person in the room then. In that case, where do you come in on your priority list with having a dance company, having those responsibilities, having your hubby and your kids, and where do you come in?
Well, you know, it depends on the day and it depends on who's crying the loudest. But I mean,
Then how loud does your husband cry? Actually,
depends on the day.
depends on the day.
No, I'm kidding. I'm in trouble. It's my ride home.
I know. Don't get
no.
left
I mean, you know, obviously, there is an animal instinct that your kids come first, and then as a working mom, your kids don't come first every second.
Mm-hmm.
They just can't. And, you know, so that's where the idea of balance comes in. If something's wrong with one of my kids, something's going on, drop everything, that's
Right.
it. I mean, that's a no-brainer. My kids will tell you, well, my 4-month-old won't tell you much of anything.
I don't think so.
My 5-year-old will tell you that he doesn't always get to come first, that sometimes I'm, you know, working on a computer, or I'm at the studio, or I'm in the theater, and he wants mommy and he doesn't get her.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that is what it is. There's a payoff to it, I think, which is watching a parent do something that they absolutely love, watching them make art, being surrounded by artists and poets and musicians and, you know, directors. And I think that's an amazing way to grow up, and he's grown up in dance studios and in theaters and in music, and I think that's amazing. And, you know, I think that, of course, there's a payoff. I think it's amazing for kids to have a stay-at-home mom, and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, she's there all the time. And then the rationale that I give to myself is he's also learning, first of all, that I go away and I always come back,
Mm-hmm.
and he's also learning some self-reliance, and he's learning how to be with a lot of different people in a
Definitely.
lot of different ways.
And patience.
Mhm, and patience.
Mhm.
And so, you know, I think they're both great. And I'm not cut out to be a stay-at-home mom. You know, I think it's amazing women that do it and can just dedicate themselves creatively and passionately to that and to their
Mhm.
kids. I'm just not one of them.
Yeah.
I need what I do. And so, you know, I show him that I have this other life, and his dad shows him the same thing. And, you know, the balance is not a life balance. The balance is a moment to moment, hour by hour. Who needs me the most at this moment?
Right. So I have another question for you, because this was like a couple of weeks ago, back to my weekly tweet chat that I do on Twitter on Monday nights. We talked about overcoming guilt. Do you ever experience those feelings of guilt? I know you're laughing like, are you kidding me? Right now I feel guilty.
I do.
Do you feel that, and what do you feel it?
I have 2
really
kids
gets
in
it?
Brooklyn with a babysitter, and I'm not with them right now. I feel guilty all the time. It's like my life goal to feel less guilty. So my friend Amy wrote me, I just got back from Iowa doing residency there, and my friend Amy wrote me, have a great trip. And I literally read it as have a guilt trip.
Oh.
And I thought,
That's
why
terrible.
are you? Oh, you didn't write that at all. And I thought she made a typo. No, she didn't make a typo.
No,
I made
that's
it
what it-
completely, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, I feel guilty all the time. I try to feel less guilty because it doesn't ever help anything
Right.
that I'm doing. It doesn't make me a better mom or a better artist. So I try to just kind of get through with what I'm doing and then do the next thing. And to really enjoy what I'm doing too. I realized that with my first kid. I was in rehearsal, I was feeling really guilty, I wasn't getting anything done. And I was thinking, well, this is ridiculous.
I know.
I mean, if you're gonna
there's no point.
yeah, if you're going to leave your kid to make a piece of art that you really love, that's one thing. If you're going to leave your kid to go feel guilty and sort of make crappy art, that's a
Might as well
completely...
just go back home and
Yeah.
just, you know.
So what I try to do is just, you know, when I'm with my kids and I'm not, you know, responding to my company manager's email about the postcards that need to get done today, and I'm just with my kids, and I'm, you know what, this is great. And then when I'm in the studio and I'm teaching and I'm choreographing and I hear my baby with the babysitter out in the hallway and he sounds kind of, I'm like, you know what, she's great,
Right.
she's awesome, and this is where I am and this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
And when that sound gets to be too much, break time.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a baby in my room.